Assalamu alaikum. So we are starting chapter number 8, the circulatory system and transport in mammals. So first up, we'll discuss objective number F, G, and H, right? So where it says describe the role of hemoglobin in carrying oxygen and carbon dioxide with reference to the role of carbonic anhydrase, the formation of hemoglobinic acid and carbaminohemoglobin. Details of chloride shift are not required. Then describe and explain the significance of oxygen dissociation curves of adult human at different carbon dioxide concentrations, which is known as the Bohr effect. And describe and explain the significance of higher red blood cell count of humans at high altitude, right? After that, we'll discuss about the relationship between the structure and function of arteries, veins, and capillaries. And finally, we'll talk about the differences between the blood, the tissue fluid, and the lymph, right? So this much about in this lesson. All right then. So let's talk about the role of erythrocytes or red blood cells along with hemoglobin. So erythrocytes are actually also known as red blood cells, right? Cytes stands for the cells. Erythro stands for the red. Okay? So these are the RBCs or red blood cells. But erythrocytes, they are special in the sense that they do not have any nuclei, right? So these cells actually, because they have a lifespan of 120 days, right? And then new red blood cells are actually then distributed in the system. So they do not have a nucleus, and there's a particular reason for that. So this adaptation actually allows the red blood cell to have more hemoglobin, because since nucleus is not there in the cytoplasm, right, there will be more space for hemoglobin. So this is one adaptation, right? And thinking about hemoglobin, like the more hemoglobin there is, definitely the more oxygen carrying capacity is there for the blood. So lack of nucleus in RBC also allows a cell to have a unique biconcave shape that helps with diffusion as well, right? Because it increases the surface area now, right? Because if the nucleus was there, so the cell would have a distinct cell that we have seen for eukaryotic cells. Since there is no nucleus, right? So it has this biconcave disc-like shape. Then talking about the color, the red color is because of the red pigment, which is hemoglobin, right? And the symbol that we use for that is HB, right? So this hemoglobin pigment is protein in nature, and it is a globular protein. So main function of hemoglobin is to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide from the lungs to the respiring cells of the body, right? So it is not just only oxygen that gets attached to hemoglobin, right? Carbon dioxide also actually it travels with hemoglobin, okay? And then it gets diffused out of the body. All right, so this is the picture of erythrocyte that you can see. So as any normal cell, it has a plasma membrane, right? It has cytoplasm, but what it does not have is the nucleus. So you can see, since there is no nucleus, it has this shape, this biconcave disc-like structure. This is because there are no contents there. There is no nucleus. Besides, there are no mitochondria. There is no endoplasmic reticulum. Let's just think about it. If there's a nucleus main role is there for RNA transcription and protein synthesis happens. Definitely ribosomes are needed for that. So no requirement of these structures there then, right? So again, these are adaptations. So you can look at the structure here as well. So you can look at this depression here, and definitely one would be there underneath it as well. So this is a biconcave disc. It increases the surface area, and the size for erythrocytes or red blood cells is 7 micrometers, right? The general size of a capillary is around 8 micrometers. So red blood cells can squeeze through the capillaries, right? So one red blood cell at a time. So the size is 7 micrometer. Okay then, so they have a diameter of 7 micrometer. They're small, yes. And the average cell, like if you talk about the eukaryotic average cell size is 40 micrometers in diameter. So this is quite small, 7 micrometer, right? And that's the reason, because the cell is so small. So hemoglobin is very close to the plasma membrane. So you already know, okay, there is no nucleus, there's no mitochondria, there's no endoplasmic reticulum. The cell is also very small in size. So hemoglobin is very close to the plasma membrane. And as a result of that, oxygen can load and unload very quickly in and out of the cell, right? Capillaries, as we were just discussing, are around 8 micrometer wide, and thus they only allow one erythrocyte pass through it at a time, right? And this actually increases diffusion, right? It increases actually the exchange of gases between the tissues and the cells then. Okay, then talking about the shape of the erythrocytes. So we have already talked about that. So they are biconcave disc, right? The dent on each side that you see Okay, it actually increases the surface area to volume ratio. You know the size is already small, and this dent, okay, also increases the surface area to volume ratio. This means that oxygen can diffuse rapidly into and out of the cell. Okay, now these red blood cells, since they're responsible to carry hemoglobin there. So this hemoglobin is a red protein molecule, which is globular in nature, and it is found in all the red blood cells. Now this protein, hemoglobin, has a quaternary structure, right? It is made up of 4 polypeptide chains. So here you can see the color coding as well. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. It has a quaternary structure, right? Each polypeptide chain, if you look at it, actually is folded, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, and all of these have a heme group at its center. Heme group is actually the one which is carrying iron. Okay, so this is a prosthetic group. Okay, that is found inside here in all the polypeptide chains. So since there are 4 polypeptide chains, so we have 4 of them. Okay, so they are known as heme group, right? It contains iron. So it has 4 iron molecules which are at the center. What happens is that to each heme group, which is an iron, oxygen molecule will bind to it. Oxygen molecule is actually, it is consists of 2 oxygen atoms, right? So if one oxygen molecule is actually binding with this heme group, so technically speaking, since there are 4 of heme groups, so we have 8 oxygen atoms binded to one hemoglobin molecule, right? So this is what forms oxyhemoglobin, right? So oxyhemoglobin is 8 oxygen molecules bound to one hemoglobin molecule, right? And this is known as oxyhemoglobin, right? And when we're talking about 8 oxygen atoms, we're talking about actually 4 molecules, right? Each molecule, oxygen exists as a gas, okay? So O2. So each molecule of a gas contains 2 oxygen atoms. You have 4 molecules, it means you have 8 oxygen atoms. So this is what actually constitutes oxyhemoglobin, okay? Oxyhemoglobin. Okay, then how is this oxygen loaded into hemoglobin? So you see there is this prosthetic group here in the middle, right? So you can see, okay, this contains iron, okay, and hemoglobin is found in the red blood cells, right? So oxygen, right, because it's there in the blood, right? From the definitely it would be taken up from the lungs as you breathe in. So they would diffuse into the red blood cells, right? So they are loaded onto the hemoglobin, okay. So it is loaded into the hemoglobin, definitely in the areas of high oxygen concentration, as we were talking about the lungs. And you can see actually, like they have shown you 2 atoms, so it's 1 molecule of oxygen. Okay. Then oxygen is then unloaded because here in the lungs it is loaded because there's a high oxygen concentration. But when this red blood cell goes through the blood to the capillaries, and then it has to be diffused into the tissues and cells. So it has to be unloaded, right? Because cells need it for aerobic cellular respiration. So this will be unloaded again, and it will be unloaded in areas which have low oxygen concentration against the concentration gradient, down the concentration gradient basically, right? So it will then unload them, right? So this, if you look at this oxygen, which is actually bound with hemoglobin as oxyhemoglobin, okay, it would then release as oxygen gas to areas where there is low oxygen concentration, or in other words, areas which have low oxygen concentration are the one which have high carbon dioxide concentration as well. Because cells like metabolic activities are undergoing inside the cell. So the products of aerobic cellular respiration are being produced like water and carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide concentration is high there, right? And the cells need oxygen for like carry on these aerobic cellular respiration, right? So if there is more carbon dioxide concentration, definitely there is less oxygen concentration, so oxygen will diffuse out of hemoglobin, right, or red blood cells into the cells. Okay, so how do we actually investigate that how much oxygen is there in hemoglobin, right? Or what is the role of carbon dioxide in all these things? So let's talk about that now. So hemoglobin has an affinity for oxygen. Affinity means general liking, right? So madam, oxygen will bind to hemoglobin. So wherever there is more oxygen, hemoglobin will bind to it, right? So it has an affinity for oxygen, right? So at partial pressure or different concentrations of oxygen. Now remember, these are 2 terms, okay? They actually mean the same thing. So if you're talking about oxygen, this is a gas, so you can use the term partial pressure of oxygen, or you can use the term different concentrations of oxygen. So don't get confused because these are 2 different terms, right? These are the same terms. They mean the same thing, right? So at partial pressure or different concentration of oxygen, the hemoglobin will bind forming oxyhemoglobin. So we saw that basically we saw that in the lungs the oxygen concentration was high. So oxygen was binding to hemoglobin as oxyhemoglobin. Okay? But it depends upon what is the concentration of oxygen at that time, right? If there is more concentration, definitely more of oxyhemoglobin will be formed, right? If there is less concentration, less oxyhemoglobin will form. So saturation of hemoglobin is then measured in percentage, right? So this is how we measure how much percentage of hemoglobin is bound to oxygen, and this is what tells us the saturation. So it can be 100%, which means it is fully saturated. It can be 80%, 75%, 50%, or below than that as well, right? So this saturation levels tell you that how much oxygen is bound to the hemoglobin at one particular time. All right then. Up now talking about oxygen dissociation. Oxygen will be dissociated into the respiring tissues. Respiring tissues are the one where these metabolic activities are going on, right? So this oxygen then, which is bound as the oxyhemoglobin to a red blood cell, it will then dissociate. It will leave the cell. It would leave the red blood cell, and then eventually enter the cell wherever it is required. So generally, the greater the partial pressure of oxygen, the greater the saturation of hemoglobin, right? So wherever there is more concentration of oxygen, since we just discussed this hemoglobin has this affinity for oxygen. It has this liking for oxygen. So wherever there is more concentration of oxygen, the hemoglobin will be more saturated by it. More oxygen will be attached to it. In the lungs, the partial pressure is high, which definitely makes sense. So hemoglobin has a 95 to 97% saturation there, right? But if you talk about a respiring tissue where the metabolic activities are going on, the partial pressure is low because the oxygen is utilized there by the cell for metabolic activities, and then carbon dioxide is being produced. So in this case, hemoglobin loses oxygen, right, to only 20 to 25% saturation because it is losing oxygen. So the saturation comes down from 95 to 97 percentage to 20 to 25 percentage. Now remember, it is not that all of the oxygen will be dissociated. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं होता कि 100% आ रही है तो पूरी पूरी रिमूव हो गई. It doesn't happen like that. ठीक है. So but again, as the concentration gradient के हिसाब से और how much is required, hemoglobin would lose the oxygen and then it can have around 20 to 25% saturation, right? So here in this diagram, actually, you can see oxyhemoglobin, which was actually oxygen bound to hemoglobin at high oxygen concentration in the lungs, right? And now this hemoglobin, which contains oxygen, right, it will definitely travel through the blood, then to the capillaries, to the respiring cells. Here they have shown you the muscle. Definitely muscles are contracting and relaxing all the time. So these muscles, in order to work, they need oxygen. So what is happening? This oxygen from hemoglobin will unload, right? And what we are getting in return is that hemoglobin, because it's definitely there. So hemoglobin, oxygen gets dissociated from it. It gets removed from it. So you can see you have this hemoglobin molecule plus oxygen. Oxygen will then diffuse into the cells. It will be used by the cells for all the activities, right? Likewise, when this hemoglobin loads to oxygen, when combines with oxygen, that process is known as loading. Okay, and this loading generally happens there in the lungs. Okay, so this is how it happens. It goes from high oxygen concentration to area of low oxygen concentration. So the process is known as unloading. ठीक है, और जब वो again जब वो low oxygen concentration से ठीक है जा रहा है वापस lungs में to gain more oxygen, so that is known as loading. Okay, so let's talk about the hemoglobin dissociation curve, right? Okay, how this hemoglobin actually, how oxygen is bound to it, and what happens to the curve when the oxygen is lost to the cells then. So a molecule whose function is to transport oxygen from one part of the body to another must be able not only to pick up oxygen at the lungs, definitely, but also to release oxygen within the respiring tissues, right? Its function is not just to pick up oxygen, it has to release it as well. So that's where the role of hemoglobin comes into play, right? So to investigate how hemoglobin behaves, samples are then extracted from the blood and exposed to different concentrations. Okay? So we look for different concentrations of oxygen. So you can have around 95% oxygen, you can have 80% oxygen, or you can have different rates of oxygen, right? Or we can simply use the term different partial pressure of oxygen. So blood is extracted, right? And then is exposed to different concentrations of oxygen. The amount of oxygen which combines with each sample of hemoglobin is then measured, right? Because they're looking for the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. So the maximum amount of oxygen with which a sample can possibly combine is given at a value of 100%. 100% means that hemoglobin molecule is 100% of fully saturated with oxygen. ठीक है, जितनी ऑक्सीजन अवेलेबल थी कंसेंट्रेशन हाई कंसेंट्रेशन के अंदर, it is actually bound with a hemoglobin as a oxyhemoglobin. A sample of hemoglobin which is combined with this maximum amount of oxygen is said to be saturated, right? The amounts of oxygen with which the identical samples of hemoglobin combine at lower oxygen partial pressures are then expressed as percentages of this maximum value. So you have this highest saturated value, okay? And then you have these identical samples of hemoglobin. But what you have now different samples of oxygen. You have different concentrations of partial pressure of oxygen. Because now you do not have the sample that contains 100% oxygen there. Okay? So you take their different samples of different concentration of oxygen, and now you will have the same identical samples of hemoglobin, okay, but you will expose them to different concentrations of oxygen, and then you will tally it against that saturation. ठीक है, तो 100% saturation में ये था, अब lower concentration में this is the maximum value. ठीक है, तो this is how we actually tell कि 100% इस level पे है, तो now it is 80%, now it is 60% or 50%. So the percentage saturation of each sample can then be plotted against the partial pressure of oxygen to obtain a curve which is known as a dissociation curve, right? So this percentage, the saturation of sample actually is written along the y-axis, okay? And this partial pressure of oxygen is taken as along the x-axis. So this is how this oxygen dissociation curves looks like. So you can see the partial pressure, which right now they have given as kilopascals, and you can see the saturation of hemoglobin. Okay, so what you need to do, you do not need to like worry about this part here. So just notice that as the pressure is increasing, okay, as the partial pressure is increasing, or you can say yes, as the concentration of oxygen is increasing, just look at the curve that how it is actually, and this is a percentage, so it is actually fully saturated here, like almost fully saturated. It seems like around 98%. So it is 98% saturated with oxygen. Okay, we are talking about hemoglobin, right? It is around 98% saturated with oxygen, right? Then you can also notice here that here, as the partial pressure is low, like here it started from 0, then you can see here it's 1, then 2. So you can see it actually, at lower partial pressure, you can see that the saturation level is low as well. Okay, so it starts like this, but you can see the saturation level is low. So this actually tells you that yes, at higher oxygen concentrations or at higher partial pressure of oxygen, okay, the saturation level is more, right? But at low partial pressure, low concentration, the saturation level is less. Okay, what you have to notice in this curve basically is these 2 points. This is what is happening in the respiring tissues or respiring cells, because they need oxygen. Oxygen is dissociated. Okay, so definitely oxygen saturation will be less over there. Okay, but if you focus here, this part here actually is the part where like at the lungs, basically, okay, it will more oxygen will be loaded to the hemoglobin and it will be more saturated, right? So what you need to look at this curve is basically this part here, right, and this part here. Okay, now if again if you look at this curve here, so just it shows you the sketch there. Okay, it will be, if you look at this higher partial pressure, so they've shown you the lungs as well. So when it's there in the lungs and oxygen gets diffused to it, so it's like highly saturated, right? But if you look at the respiring tissues or respiring cells, right? So it is, you can look at the muscle. Okay, so since it's using oxygen, so it is having low oxygen saturation. So here you may notice that at high partial pressure of oxygen, hemoglobin is highly saturated with oxygen here, right? And at low partial pressure of oxygen, right, hemoglobin is less saturated with oxygen, right? So something, there are different graphs that you can use to relate to how this oxygen dissociation curve is actually interpreted. So what are the findings then? The curve shows that at low partial pressure of oxygen, for example, at the tissue level or the muscles, the percentage saturation of hemoglobin is very low. That is, the hemoglobin is combined with only a very little oxygen. So we saw that in this diagram as well. Okay, because these are the respiring tissues or cells, or it can be muscles. Okay, so you see the saturation percentage of hemoglobin is less. Okay, and you can see the partial pressure as compared to this part here is also low. Right? At high partial pressure of oxygen, which is at the lungs, the percentage saturation of hemoglobin is very high, and it is combined with large amounts of oxygen. So you can again relate to this part of the curve here then, right? So if you look at this curve, actually, it is actually a sigmoid curve, right? It is not that it has this direct relationship, because जब हम direct relationship की बात करते हैं, तो you have this straight line. ठीक है? It is not directly proportional to it. It is this sigmoid curve. It is not increasing like at this direct pace. So you can see it is a very slow and steady increase. And after some time, you can see this steep gradient there. Okay, after some time, you see that it is not that कि फौरन ही एकदम तेजी के साथ you're not looking at this steep gradient. Okay, very slowly and gradually, okay, with little partial pressure, you can see that saturation बहुत कम है, and then slowly and gradually it increases, and this is where you get this steep curve. Right? So as mentioned, the sigmoid curve of the hemoglobin dissociation curve can be explained by the behavior of a hemoglobin molecule as it combines with or loses oxygen molecules. So we also will see because hemoglobin actually at one time can combine with 4 oxygen molecules, okay, which makes 8 oxygen atoms. Okay, so what happens as this oxygen atom is binding with the hemoglobin, it causes a change in the shape of the molecule or causes it actually to distort a little. ठीक है, so oxygen molecules ऐसा नहीं है कि एक ही दफा के they will combine to hemoglobin. As they combine, they bring about a change in the shape and size of the molecule. ठीक है, so this hemoglobin is slightly distorted then. ठीक है, अब what happens because of that? This distortion makes it easier for the second oxygen molecule to combine with the second heme group, right? So have a look here, right? Oxygen molecules as they bind to hemoglobin. See, this is the original hemoglobin. This is the prosthetic group, which is heme group, right? As oxygen, the first oxygen molecule binds to the heme group, it brings about a change in the shape of the molecule, right? Since you see that these prosthetic groups are like buried inside, ठीक है, बहुत deep अंदर जाकर है. तो oxygen ऐसा नहीं कि directly जाके इसमें जाके bind हो रही है. So when oxygen binds to the first one, it brings about a change, a distortion in the shape of the whole molecule. Then it becomes easy for the second oxygen molecule to bind to it. ठीक है, eventually it will इसकी वजह से और changes आ रही है, तो it leads to the like binding of the third oxygen molecule and then the fourth. ठीक है, so this is actually what is known as cooperative binding. ठीक है, as the first one binds, it brings about the change in the molecule, but second, third, fourth को उसके साथ bind होने में आसानी हो जाती है. ठीक है, so we use a term cooperative binding for it. So let me write that here as well. Yeah, we call it cooperative binding. So as we just saw in the diagram, distortion makes it easier for the second oxygen molecules to combine with the second heme group. This in turn makes it easier for the third oxygen molecule to combine with the third one. And it is then still easier for the fourth and the final oxygen molecule to combine. Okay? So it takes the first one. Okay? First one combine hone ke baad, then these like a distortion takes place. So first जब हुआ distortion हुई, it is easy for the second one. Second join हुआ तो और distortion हुई, तो it is easy for the third one and definitely the fourth one. So this is actually, if you look at the curve, so this is actually what is showing you here. कि पहला लगा distortion हुई, ठीक है, slowly you can see the saturation level आहिस्ता आहिस्ता बढ़ने लगा, ठीक है, and then you see this steep curve. और फिर आपको ये curve नजर आ रहा है, ये सारे oxygen molecules जब attach हो गए, then you look at this high gradient there. ठीक है, ये फौरन नहीं होता है, पहला लगता है थोड़ा सा शेप चेंज होता है, ठीक है, फिर दूसरा आसानी हो जाती है लगने में, फिर तीसरा, तो this is how actually this sigmoid curve actually represents that. ठीक है, so this is what is known as cooperative binding, right? Okay, so we talked about how oxygen is dissociated or loaded or unloaded. Now let's see what is happening to carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide is also transported by hemoglobin, right? It's not just oxygen. So for carbon dioxide, we have 3 different pathways that can be utilized, right, for it to be transported. So if you just imagine that we have this 100% of carbon dioxide and 100% of it has to be transported. So remember, 5% of the carbon dioxide that is produced by these respiring cells is transported by being dissolved in the blood plasma. Okay? So out of 100%, 5% dissolve हो जाती है blood plasma के अंदर, ठीक है, वो as it will go as carbon dioxide. ठीक है, then it will be diffused out of the lungs as the exhale. Most of the carbon dioxide, see 5% though is being dissolved in the blood plasma, but most of it, so we have now 95%, right? So most of the carbon dioxide then diffuses into the cytoplasm of the red blood cells. Okay? So red blood cells के cytoplasm में 95% goes there in the cytoplasm of the red blood cells. What is happening in there in the cytoplasm of the red blood cells, there is an enzyme which is known as carbonic anhydrase, right? It carries a series of reactions, and what it does is that it reacts with the carbon dioxide, okay, along with water, and it converts it into carbonic acid, right? So carbon dioxide diffuses into the red blood cell in the cytoplasm. Okay? In the cytoplasm, there is this enzyme which is known as carbonic anhydrase. So carbon dioxide reacts with water in the presence of this enzyme and converts into carbonic acid. Right? Carbonic acid, okay, it then dissociates ठीक है, into H positive ions and hydrogen carbonate. ठीक है, it dissociates into these. So it dissociates into this is the carbonic acid that was produced. It dissociates into H positive ions and hydrogen carbonate, right? So actually, when we say that there is high carbon dioxide concentration, so it actually makes the blood more acidic. So this is actually the reason, right? Because this carbonic acid, okay, it is unstable, so it dissociates. So this H positive ion, okay, so the more carbon dioxide is there, the more of this reaction is taking place, more of carbonic acid is produced, it would dissociate. So the more H positive ions you have, it means like the blood has become more acidic now, right? The pH has become lower, right? So this is how it dissociates into. So this is actually what we call as a Bohr shift. So the amount of oxygen the hemoglobin carries is affected not only by the partial pressure of oxygen, but also by the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. See, we see that wherever there's more oxygen, oxygen will definitely bind to it. But if you look at this graph here, see, because in this case, there is more carbon dioxide as well. These are the respiring cells. There is more carbon dioxide being produced. So in these places, the pressure of oxygen will definitely be below, but the partial pressure of carbon dioxide will be high, right? So when we say that this oxygen affinity, actually it is not only affected by this partial pressure of oxygen, but carbon dioxide also is involved, right? So carbon dioxide we know is continuously produced by the respiring cells. It diffuses from the cells and into the blood plasma, from where some of it diffuses into the red blood cells. So we said yes, around 95% of it goes into the red blood cell. Okay, it then combines with carbonic anhydrase in the cytoplasm. Okay, as it combines with water and it produces carbonic acid, right? And then carbonic acid dissociates into H positive ions and hydrogen carbonate, right? Okay. These H positive ions actually, okay, then make hemoglobinic acid, right? Because your acid बन रहा है, H positive ions actually they make that. So H positive ions which are produced with the dissociation reaction bind readily with the hemoglobin. ठीक है? अब red blood cells we know there is hemoglobin. ठीक है? अब since this carbonic acid has dissociated into these two products, so H positive will now bind with the hemoglobin because hemoglobin is in the red blood cells. It will bind to the hemoglobin and it will make a product which is known as hemoglobinic acid. ठीक है? Hemoglobinic acid and we represent it by HBB. ठीक है? Sorry, HHB. ठीक है? This is how we represent that. Hemoglobinic acid. Hemoglobin का HB है. H साथ लगा दिए because of this H positive ions. So this H positive जो dissociate होता है carbonic acid, it binds with the hemoglobin and forms hemoglobinic acid. ठीक है? This causes the hemoglobin to release all the oxygen because oxygen was attached to hemoglobin as oxyhemoglobin. So when there is अब H positive ion जब जाके hemoglobin के साथ attach हो रहा है, it will cause oxygen to get released from the hemoglobin, which hemoglobin was carrying. ठीक है? And the other product, which is hydrogen carbonate, it then diffuses out of the red blood cells and it goes into the plasma, and 85% of it is carried this way, right? So what we just noticed, okay, 5% of the carbon dioxide goes into the plasma, diffuses, and then it goes to the lungs. It diffuses out as we exhale. जो 95% पीछे बचा है, ठीक है, it goes into the red blood cell. ठीक है, then ठीक है, some of that gets reacted with carbonic anhydrase. It produces carbonic acid, which dissociates into two products, H positive ions and hydrogen carbonate. H positive ions combine with hemoglobin to form hemoglobinic acid. ठीक है, and because of its binding to hemoglobin, oxygen gets dissociated and oxygen then diffuses into the cell. ठीक है, क्योंकि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड से रिलीज हुई है, ऑक्सीजन गेट्स डिफ्यूज्ड इनटू द सेल. बट दिस ये आपका ये जो हाइड्रोजन कार्बोनेट है, दिस डिफ्यूजेस आउट ऑफ द रेड ब्लड सेल्स नाउ. ठीक है, तो ये पूरे प्रोडक्ट बने थे रेड ब्लड सेल के अंदर, बट नाउ दिस हाइड्रोजन कार्बोनेट डिफ्यूजेस आउट ऑफ द सेल एंड दिस इज अराउंड 85%. अब क्योंकि बेसिकली वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हाउ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इज ट्रांसपोर्टेड, तो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड तो यहाँ पर है कार्बोनेट के अंदर. Carbon dioxide around 85% of it is then transported out of the red blood cells and then it goes into the plasma and eventually it is then transported, right? So this is it. तो हमने 5% कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड की फॉर्म में जा रही थी एज अ गैस, 85% इस तरह चलेगी. Remaining 10% of what is happening is that now all of the carbon dioxide ऐसा नहीं है कि सारी की सारी के ऊपर carbonic anhydrase react कर रहा है. Some of it actually skips this part. ठीक है, तो some of it actually like they are not the reaction with what it is not catalyzed by carbonic anhydrase. See, so what happens in those cases is this is what happens then. Okay, so they make carbon amino hemoglobin. What is happening is there, this carbon dioxide would then escape being broken down by the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, what they do is that they would bind directly with the amino group in the hemoglobin. ठीक है, हाइड्रोजन पॉजिटिव आयंस जो थे दे गेट कंबाइंड विद द हीमोग्लोबिन, उसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा है, ऑक्सीजन गैस डिसोसिएटेड फ्रॉम द सेल. ठीक है, बट कुछ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ऐसी है जो खुद डायरेक्टली जाके हीमोग्लोबिन के साथ बाइंड होती है, पर इट बाइंड्स टू द अमीनो ग्रुप. ठीक है, पूरे हीमोग्लोबिन मॉलिक्यूल के साथ अटैच नहीं हो रही है, इट बाइंड्स टू द अमीनो ग्रुप ऑफ हीमोग्लोबिन, एंड देन द प्रोडक्ट दैट इज फॉर्म्ड इज कार्बन अमीनो हीमोग्लोबिन. ठीक है, इट विल स्टे इन द रेड ब्लड सेल. ठीक है, इट विल बी ट्रांसपोर्टेड एज सच. So it forms carbon amino hemoglobin, right? And about 10% of carbon dioxide is then carried this way. Okay, in the lungs, then all the carbon dioxide in various forms, because we know that 5% of them was in the gaseous form, carbon dioxide की form में थी, 85% is in the form of hydrogen carbonate, or ये जो 10% is there as carbon amino hemoglobin. It then leaves the plasma and the hemoglobin and then enters the lungs. ठीक है, so ये different transport pathways है carbon dioxide के. ठीक है, अब what is happening, अब net reaction of this whole reaction, इसका जो net result है, what is happening, hemoglobin mops up the hydrogen ions which are formed when carbon dioxide dissolves and dissociates. ठीक है, it mops up. ठीक है, जितने hydrogen ions थे they are all taken up by the hemoglobin. mops up का मतलब है again उसने सारी जगह से hydrogen ions को clean कर लिया and it has taken them up. A high concentration of hydrogen ions means there is a low pH. If the hydrogen ions were left in the solution, blood would be very acidic. By removing the hydrogen ions from the solution, hemoglobin helps to maintain the pH of the blood close to neutral. That's why hemoglobin is actually acting as a buffer, right? The presence of high partial pressure of carbon dioxide causes hemoglobin to release oxygen. Okay, so we saw that the carbon dioxide, it is not directly as carbon dioxide, some of it gets broken by carbonic anhydrase. Okay, some of it gets attached to the amino group of the hemoglobin, but this is how carbon dioxide is being removed. So if there is higher pressure of carbon dioxide, it causes hemoglobin to release oxygen. This is what we call as Bohr effect. Okay? And the scientist that actually discovered that was Christian Bohr. He discovered this whole process in 1904. Right? So this is how carbon dioxide is transported from the red blood cell to the lungs. This is how the summary of how this whole thing happens. So here they've shown you the tissue fluid, plasma, and here they have shown you the red blood cell. Right? So what you notice is here that carbon dioxide is diffused from the respiring cells, in 3 different ways. So you can actually look at these arrows. So around 5% of this carbon dioxide then goes into the solution. The rest of it, 95% budget is going inside the red blood cells. Around 85% of it gets carbon dioxide reacts with water in the red blood cell. It gets catalyzed, the reaction gets catalyzed by carbonic anhydrase. Then carbonic acid is produced. Carbonic acid is unstable. It dissociates into H positive and hydrogen carbonate ions. Hydrogen carbonates then can diffuse out of the red blood cell into the plasma, right? Or H positive, it combines with the hemoglobin within the red blood cell, and it forms hemoglobinic acid. As it binds to the hemoglobin, this causes the release of oxygen which was attached to the hemoglobin. It is released into the tissue fluid then. Then some of the carbon dioxide escapes this process. So what happens, it directly binds to the amino group of hemoglobin and it forms carbon amino hemoglobin. This would stay in the red blood cell. So around 10% of it is carbon amino hemoglobin. It will then go into the lungs. Then it will be released. Right? So this is the summary diagram of how carbon dioxide is transported. Okay, then talking about the Bohr shift, because we have to, we need to know how to interpret these curves. So this Bohr shift describes the effect of high carbon dioxide concentration on hemoglobin, hemoglobin's affinity for oxygen, right? So when we talk about Bohr shift, we are talking about carbon dioxide concentration. What effect can high or low carbon dioxide concentration can have on this graph, right? So जो इसके अंदर आपको second line नजर आ रही है, this is drawn to the right of and below the standard curve. So we have this standard curve. So standard curve definitely is the pink one. Pink one is the standard curve because this is what we draw when there is like हम oxygen की pressure, partial pressure concentration की वजह से draw कर रहे होते हैं. So this is your standard curve which shows you that there is high oxygen concentration. And wherever there is high oxygen concentration, carbon dioxide concentration will be low over there. But whenever there is high carbon dioxide concentration, this standard curve shifts towards the right. This is what you have to remember. So whenever there is high carbon dioxide concentration, it means respiring cells are releasing carbon dioxide. So in that case, there will be low oxygen concentration. In this case, so look, the curve actually shifts towards the right. again, what you need to notice in this curve, if you get that in the exam, you have to notice on this part of the curve and you have to notice this part of the curve. Okay, this is what you need to learn. So inactive tissues, because you see that there is more carbon dioxide production. So if you compare it with the standard curve, you will always see this, the second curve shifted towards the right. Okay, so this is the curve that we'll be looking at. But whenever you are looking at the lungs, actually, where definitely there's more oxygen concentration, then you will actually concentrate or look at this standard curve. Okay, because yahan oxygen concentration is more. So again, the parts of the curve that you have to focus on, when lungs में there is high concentration, you will look at this part of the curve, standard curve का top part. Then whenever you're looking at the respiring active tissues, you will look at the second curve which is shifted towards the right. मगर उसका ये वाला side देखेंगे. Okay. Okay, so again, right now we were discussing about when this is the standard curve, okay, and when it shifts towards the right. So we just discussed that this would happen when there is more carbon dioxide concentration or you have more of active cells, right? So what happens because of that? If there is more carbon dioxide concentration, okay, this will reduce the hemoglobin affinity for oxygen, okay? Because carbon dioxide ज़्यादा होने की वजह से क्या हो रहा है? You know कि carbonic acid is being produced in the red blood cells. It is dissociated into H positive ions. H positive ions then combine with hemoglobin, okay, and they form hemoglobinic acid. And because of this combination, oxygen gets dissociated from the cell, वो release हो जाता है, okay? So you have high carbon dioxide concentration. This means hemoglobin oxygen affinity is low, right? So curve will shift towards the right, and eventually, definitely, you have more carbon dioxide, so more H positive are there in the plasma. It means there's lower pH, okay? And this would also lead to higher temperature. Why high temperature? Because when metabolic activities are going on, aerobic cellular respiration is going on, oxygen will diffuse into the cell, it will be used, and you will have carbon dioxide, water. At the same time, more ATP is also generated, right? So this will lead to high temperature. Okay? But if you look at this curve, this is the standard curve. Again, if it has been shifted towards the left, so what do we notice in this case? In this case, we notice that there is high oxygen affinity of hemoglobin, okay? Because the standard curve, this is what we are looking at. अब अगर वो और left की तरफ shift हो गया, it means it has higher hemoglobin, it has higher affinity for oxygen. So if there is higher oxygen affinity, it means the partial pressure oxygen का ज़्यादा है, it will shift towards the left, okay? And definitely in this case, there will be lower carbon dioxide concentration. Agar carbon dioxide concentration low hai, so definitely like it is not being converted into carbonic acid and then not dissociating into H positive ions. Okay, so it definitely means that the pH will be higher and temperature would be lower because metabolic activity यहाँ पे से stage पे इतनी ज़्यादा नहीं हो रही है. ठीक है, so temperature would be lower if you compare it with this one here. ठीक है, so just remember for the left curve, just remember this triple L rule. ठीक है, so if the curve is shifted towards the left, it means इस जगह पे oxygen loading हो रही है. ठीक है, oxygen is being loaded onto the hemoglobin, right? And oxygen, how does it get loaded to the hemoglobin? It gets done at low partial pressure of oxygen. So you can see that. Okay? If I, for example, let's say this is 50%. Okay? If I could just draw a line, let's say we start with the standard one. Okay? We see 50% pay, what is the partial pressure of oxygen? Right? So if we just draw a line here, so let's say it seems like a G around 25%. ठीक है, या sorry 25 millimeter of oxygen is the pressure of oxygen. और इसमें standard curve में we are looking at कि 50% of hemoglobin is saturated with oxygen. ठीक है, 25 millimeter of mercury के ऊपर 50% of our hemoglobin is saturated with oxygen, right? Let's see what is happening at the higher affinity. If we look at this left side curve here, ठीक है, again we are looking at the same percentage. So 50% पे if I draw a curve and then what I notice is this, okay, at around 18%, sorry 18 millimeter of mercury, okay, at this much pressure, 50% of hemoglobin is actually bound with oxygen. ठीक है, तो ऑक्सीजन की saturation 50% reach कर गई है at lower partial pressure of oxygen. ठीक है, so this is what we notice and this is what actually makes the curve shift towards the left. ठीक है, so you're seeing 50% oxygen is saturation है इसकी hemoglobin की, but in this case what we are looking at कि the partial pressure of oxygen is low. ठीक है, standard पे we are looking at it is 25. What if we actually now tally it from the right side curve now? So if again the same percentage, but if I drop it down to the x-axis, so what we notice is maybe around 35 millimeters of mercury. ठीक है, so you have higher percentage, higher partial pressure of oxygen, ठीक है, for this hemoglobin to reach 50% of saturation. ठीक है, so it means you need हाई पार्शियल प्रेशर ऑफ ऑक्सीजन हमें चाहिए, ठीक है, फॉर दिस कर्व टू शिफ्ट टुवर्ड्स द राइट, right? So we have taken the 50% as this the common percentage, but standard में we are looking at कि standard में the hemoglobin is 50% saturated at 25 millimeters of mercury, ठीक है? At higher oxygen concentrations, ठीक है, whenever it has higher affinity for oxygen, so what are we noticing कि even this smaller like partial pressure of oxygen, उसमें भी आपका जो hemoglobin it will be 50% saturated, ठीक है? कम pressure के अंदर it is more saturated, और हायर प्रेशर के अंदर यू लुकिंग एट कि यहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन का प्रेशर ज्यादा है, बट देन व्हाट यू सी कि इट इज 50% सैचुरेटेड एट हायर प्रेशर, बट इस केस में व्हाट एल्स इज हैपनिंग इज दैट कि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड की भी परसेंटेज ज्यादा है, ठीक है, बिकॉज रेस्पायरिंग सेल्स आर प्रोड्यूसिंग मोर कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, इट शिफ्ट्स टुवर्ड्स द राइट, ठीक है. So this is how we interpret this curve and we look at the Bohr effect. Okay, this is another view of the same diagram. So you can again see कि 50% for example saturation we are taking it. So what you see if you're looking at the right shift curve, this one here, okay, so this is the partial pressure as well. So what we see, it simply tells you that there is lower oxygen affinity. ठीक है, ऑक्सीजन की एफिनिटी कम है, प्रेशर ज्यादा है, ठीक है, मगर इतने ज्यादा प्रेशर में भी हीमोग्लोबिन से 50% ही सैचुरेट हो रहा है, ठीक है. इफ यू अगेन कंपेयर विद दिस वन, यहाँ पे प्रेशर ज्यादा है, इट इज 35, ठीक है, इट मींस देयर इज लो एफिनिटी, ऑक्सीजन ज्यादा बाइंड नहीं हो रहा हीमोग्लोबिन के साथ. उसका रीजन, एक रीजन ये है कि बिकॉज देयर इज मोर कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड नाउ, और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड डिसोसिएट हो रही है एच पॉजिटिव आयंस में, तो एच पॉजिटिव आयंस आर एक्चुअली मेकिंग द ऑक्सीजन डिसोसिएट फ्रॉम द हीमोग्लोबिन, ऑक्सीजन सेल्स के अंदर चली जाती है और उसकी जगह जाके एच पॉजिटिव हीमोग्लोबिन के साथ जाके अटैच हो जाते हैं, ठीक है. सो व्हेन यू हैव लाइक मोर रेस्पायरिंग सेल्स के अंदर, so even if there is more partial pressure of oxygen, ठीक है, it shows you कि there is low hydro oxygen affinity of hemoglobin. और हम लेफ्ट साइड के अंदर जब देखते हैं इस चीज को, तो व्हाट यू नोटिस कि देयर इज हायर ऑक्सीजन एफिनिटी, ठीक है, लेफ्ट साइड के ऊपर. दिस इज व्हाट वी सी कि लो प्रेशर के अंदर भी, ठीक है, कम प्रेशर के अंदर भी 50% हीमोग्लोबिन सैचुरेट हो गया, ठीक है. So again the same things here. Just have a look at this curve, try to understand it. Right, this is another diagram. So what you notice here is that whenever there is low oxygen concentration, remember the curve will shift towards the left. So remember it from L, ठीक है. So जहां भी ऑक्सीजन की कंसंट्रेशन कम होगी, उस जगह पे हीमोग्लोबिन will have high affinity for oxygen, ठीक है, तो वो कम प्रेशर के अंदर भी it will bind to more oxygen, ठीक है. So it mostly happens in higher altitude, there is low concentration of oxygen, ठीक है, तो उस केस में लोअर प्रेशर के अंदर भी मोर ऑफ द हीमोग्लोबिन गेट सैचुरेटेड, ठीक है. सो हाई एल्टीट्यूड के अंदर ये चीज हो सकती है. इट कैन हैपन इन द अंडरग्राउंड, अंडरग्राउंड में ऑक्सीजन की कंसंट्रेशन कम है, so wherever there is low concentration of oxygen या low partial pressure of oxygen, the curve will shift towards the left, ठीक है. It also happens in the fetus as well. Fetus, because they cannot breathe on their own, ठीक है, fetus is there in the mother's womb, so जो ऑक्सीजन उसको मिल रही है, it is because of it being diffused from the placenta, और मदर के प्लेसेंटा के थ्रू ब्लड में फिर वो ऑक्सीजन फीटस में आ रही है, एंड द कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एक्चुअली विच इज लाइक डेफिनेटली जो फीटस की ग्रोथ के अंदर सारा प्रोसेसेस चल रहे हैं, तो इट इज डिफ्यूज आउट थ्रू द सेम प्लेसेंटा, ठीक है. सो इन दीज कंडीशंस यू विल लुक एट द कर्व, ठीक है, विच इज शिफ्टेड टुवर्ड्स द लेफ्ट, ठीक है. और शिफ्टेड टुवर्ड्स द लेफ्ट का मतलब है कि पार्शियल प्रेशर ऑफ ऑक्सीजन इज लो, so you can see that there's a big difference. ये इन्होंने आपको normal standard curve दिखाया, the red one, and this is the blue one which is showing you okay, this is what happens to the curve when there is low oxygen concentration, ठीक है. and whenever there is high आपके पास जब concentration कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड की ज्यादा होगी, this is what we actually call as Bohr shift. जब हम Bohr shift की बात करते हैं, we are referring to concentration of carbon dioxide there. so जब कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ज्यादा है, ठीक है, so it will actually make this standard curve shift towards the right, ठीक है. It simply means कि hemoglobin now has low affinity for oxygen. Low affinity का मतलब it is going to unload the oxygen, क्योंकि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ज्यादा है. It gets dissociated into H positive. H positive binds with the hemoglobin to form hemoglobinic acid, and hemoglobin now unloads most oxygen readily at higher partial pressure. तो जितना partial pressure ज़्यादा होगा, oxygen will be unloaded quickly. ठीक है? So this supplies tissues with more oxygen for aerobic respiration. So I hope you understand this oxygen dissociation curve, and you've understood the Bohr shift as well. So what causes this Bohr shift? Increased rate of respiration produces lots of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide dissolves in the blood plasma, forming a weak acid, which is carbonic acid. And we know that carbonic acid shifts, dissociates into H positive and hydrogen carbonate. ठीक है, we also see that the tertiary structure of hemoglobin is changed slightly. ठीक है, and it's quaternary basically. ठीक है, but then as first hemoglobin molecule gets attached to it, the shape distort हो रहा है. ठीक है, so it changes and association is weaker definitely with it. So hemoglobin then unloads from the hemoglobin. Sorry, oxygen unloads from the hemoglobin in the respiring tissues, respiring cells. Okay then, when we are talking about these oxygen dissociation curves, so remember different organisms have different type of hemoglobins basically, right? So they will react differently. So organisms who live in an environment which have low oxygen concentration. So remember we are talking about low oxygen concentration, we are talking about low partial pressure of oxygen. So organisms which live in such environments, ठीक है, what will happen? Their hemoglobin will have high affinity for oxygen. ठीक है, प्रेशर लो होगा तो उस वजह से क्या होगा, द कर्व विल बी शिफ्टेड टुवर्ड्स द लेफ्ट एंड दीज ऑर्गेनिजम्स विल हैव हायर affinity for oxygen, so you can look at the blue curve here. ठीक है, so ऐसे organisms which live in such environments which have low partial pressure of oxygen, ठीक है, again for example if you focus here, so if they have this low partial pressure of oxygen there, they will have high affinity for oxygen, more oxygen will bind to hemoglobin. ठीक है, so hence the dissociation curve leans towards the left in relation to ours, क्योंकि हम इसको relate कर रहे थे to the normal human dissociation curve. Similarly, very active organisms, you know, they are producing more carbon dioxide, they have a high demand for oxygen. ठीक है, and what happens, they have the hemoglobin which has lower affinity for oxygen. Lower affinity का मतलब है this oxygen will be readily then removed or unloaded from the hemoglobin molecule. So इस वजह से जो curve है बेटा, it will be shifted towards the right. So again, if you look at this, let's say the same concentration, but now what you notice is this part here. This is the curve shifted towards the right, but now look at the pressure. ठीक है, so यहाँ पे basically क्या हो रहा है कि जब partial pressure oxygen का ज़्यादा भी है, ठीक है, but what we notice here is that कि affinity इसकी, क्योंकि it will unload more oxygen now. ठीक है, unload क्यों कर रहा है? Because there is more carbon dioxide in these respiring cells. ठीक है, okay, so these are a few examples just to show you okay, what would happen in these organisms. So animals, remember they have different type of hemoglobins, okay, as compared to humans, and they have different affinities for oxygen. So remember these are all adaptations. Okay, so according to the environment they live in, they have to adapt. Okay, so we are discussing these examples of llama. Okay, llama lives in the high altitude. Earthworm lives underground. Fetus, it is not inhaling, exhaling directly. Then if you look at the dove, the size is small, so definitely like many metabolic activities are going on, and then more carbon dioxide is being produced. So let's see how the curve will look like. So here what they've shown you is the fetus, and we know okay, it is actually getting oxygen by diffusion from the placenta. So what you notice is here, if you focus on the blue, the green and the blue curve basically. So the green one is actually the adult hemoglobin. ठीक है, so hemoglobin A इसको उन्होंने adult का curve दिखाया, oxygen dissociation curve, and if you focus on the left one, ठीक है, the blue one is showing you the fetal hemoglobin F, which has shifted towards the left. So उसका reason क्या है? If you again focus on this 50% affinity, ठीक है, so 50% के अंदर there is partial pressure low, ठीक है, but इस case में you see कि at lower partial pressure, the hemoglobin has high affinity for oxygen. ठीक है, it has high affinity for oxygen. But if you look at there, 50% है यहाँ पे, ठीक है, but if you focus on this part here, तो यहाँ पे like partial pressure का 27 millimeter of mercury है, but then this is for the adult, this is the normal standard dissociation curve, ठीक है, and this is the fetal. तो fetal में, ठीक है, so जब pressure partial pressure low है, तो this hemoglobin has high affinity for oxygen, and then you can see the curve as well. It is shifted towards the left. So now you focus upon the llama. Llama also lives at high altitude. It means high altitude में partial pressure oxygen के कम होगा. ठीक है? So whenever there is low partial pressure of oxygen, it means high affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. So you can see the orange and the blue curve. The orange one is for the human hemoglobin and the blue one is for the llama. So you can look at this values as well. ठीक है? The curve has shifted towards the left. Then if you look at the bird, they have the faster metabolism. So now if you compare it with the human hemoglobin curve here, the human hemoglobin curve they have shown you through the blue one, and the dove's hemoglobin they have shown through the orange one. So see, more metabolic activities means more aspiric cells, more carbon dioxide is produced. So these would have lower affinity for oxygen. The oxygen would be unloaded easily. ठीक है, cells will get the oxygen, carbon dioxide will diffuse into the hemoglobin. ठीक है, so you can see the curve has shifted towards the right. And then if you look at the earthworm underground, there is less oxygen concentration. So again, what you see, okay, the curve has shifted towards the left. The blue one is for the earthworm, the orange one is for the human. Okay, so this is what we notice. Okay, when there is lower partial pressure, the hemoglobin will have high oxygen, high affinity for oxygen. It will be, okay, so 50% से हम tally कर लेते हैं. So this is how we interpret these curves. So as a summary, oxygen binds reversibly with oxygen. Sorry, hemoglobin binds reversibly with oxygen. Hemoglobin loads in high partial pressure. ठीक है, उसमें loading होती रहती है. ठीक है, it unloads in low partial pressure. ठीक है, then we also see that the curve is shifted towards the left means hemoglobin loads more readily at low partial pressure of oxygen. Curve shifted toward the right means hemoglobin unloads more readily at high partial pressure of oxygen. ठीक है, तो basically हम बात जब ये करते हैं कि curve increase हो रहा है, इसका size that is moving towards the left. ठीक है, at low partial pressure it means कि जैसे जैसे partial pressure increase हो रहा है, loading will keep on increasing. ठीक है, so 50% को हम एक sort of के देखते हैं कि 50% of what is happening. ठीक है, then we also notice कि जो curve है, it is not a straight curve. ठीक है, ये इसका size cooperative binding की वजह से you can see it slowly and gradually increases and then it reaches this steep curve. ठीक है, इसका gradient यहाँ पे जाके increase होता है. So this is a question here where they've shown you 4 different curves and one stands for the elephant. So you can see that this has shifted towards the काफी towards the right. Then second is for the human, then cat, and then the mouse. So standard curve हमारे पास 2 है. ठीक है, इसके against we are actually like telling the other 3. So first they're saying describe the relationship between the size of mammals and the oxygen dissociation curve of the hemoglobin. So now if you focus, because 2 is the standard for humans, so if you look at 3 and 4, okay, and you look at the size, cat and mouse, they're definitely more like metabolically active than humans because the sizes is smaller. So what you notice is the smaller the mammal, the further to the right the curve is shifted. Then they're saying heat from the respiration helps mammals to maintain a constant body temperature. Use this information to explain the relationship between the surface area to volume ratio of mammals and the oxygen dissociation curve of the hemoglobin. So again, think about that when we're talking about heat production, it means more aerobic cellular respiration is going on, more carbon dioxide being produced, right? So this question is a 4 marks. So again, you have to talk about the smaller animals in this case. So smaller animals, they have this larger surface area to volume ratio because they're asking you to use this information to explain the relationship between the surface area to volume ratio of mammals and the oxygen dissociation curve of their hemoglobins. Okay, so we have to talk about these 2 points. So smaller mammals have larger surface area to volume ratio. So definitely heat is lost faster. There are more metabolic activities are going on. More oxygen is required to maintain high rate of respiration. Definitely it means more heat is being produced. The right shifted curve means hemoglobin will dissociate more readily at higher partial pressure of oxygen, right? So remember, this is the oxygen dissociation curve. Okay, so the more towards the right the curve it means more oxygen will be dissociated, more of it will be unloaded, and it will go into the cells. I hope it makes sense. Now coming to the last of this topic of hemoglobin. So significance of high red blood cell count at high altitude. If somebody travels very quickly over a period of just a few days, from sea level to very high altitude, the body does not have enough time to adjust to this drop in oxygen availability, and the person may suffer from altitude sickness. But the thing is, we have this certain amount of red blood cells in our body. Okay, it takes them quite a while to actually, for new red blood cells to get in the system, it takes time. ठीक है, जो एक साइकिल रेड ब्लड सेल का बनता है, it takes for them around 120 days, और उसके बाद न्यू cells आते हैं ब्लड के अंदर from the bone marrow. So your body also needs time. So if you're going to high altitude, अब बहुत तेजी से आप जा रहे हैं to high altitude, so definitely oxygen concentration तेजी से कम हो रही है, ठीक है, but आपकी body को adjust करने के लिए, adapt करने के लिए time नहीं मिला, ठीक है, तो उस केस में a person may suffer from a disease which is known as altitude sickness, ठीक है, but definitely अब आप slowly and gradually पर जा रहे हैं, body को time मिल रहा है, red blood cells ज़्यादा भी body के अंदर आ रहे हैं, अब जितने red blood cells ज़्यादा होंगे, it means more hemoglobin, ज़्यादा hemoglobin होगी, तो definitely it will have this high affinity for oxygen. ठीक है, so in this case, most people then can cope well with high altitudes up to around 5,000 meters. So as the body gradually acclimatizes to high altitude, the number of changes takes place. Perhaps the most significant of this is that the number of RBC increases, whereas red blood cells normally make up 40 to 50% of the blood. ठीक है, but जब high altitude में आप जाते हैं तो आपकी body के अंदर around 50 to 70% red blood cells increase हो सकते हैं. ठीक है, and definitely you know that this takes time. People who live permanently at high altitude such as Andes or Himalayas, they show a number of adaptations to their low oxygen environment. For example, अब उनके पास definitely उनकी body में blood में red blood cells ज़्यादा होंगे, but what else they will have? They will have broader chest. ठीक है, chest ज़्यादा broad होगा तो you see कि inhalation में they can take up more oxygen at a time. ठीक है, they have a larger heart, specifically at the right side. The right side of the heart gets bigger, ठीक है, and more hemoglobin in their blood. ठीक है, so these are again some adaptations that these people who live at high altitude can have.